Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So we still have these two areas that we are watching. We do have the one area over Florida, but really the area that has a better chance of developing, and something probably a little more notable, is this area that's further out into the Atlantic. We actually have a wave that's just worked its way off the coast. You see up to that 40% chance of development. It's way out there, plenty of time to watch it. So we'll talk about that. But first, let's talk about the area right over Florida, because you've got this yellow shaded area, and essentially what this is an area low pressure that is forming along an old boundary, and Hurricane Center highlighted this area and they put that 10% chance of development. But really, at most, what we're talking about is maybe a tropical depression forming, and that's really a long shot. You look at it right now and you do see some of these scattered showers, and really what we're talking about is an uptick in our rain chances as we head through the weekend. And remember, we're in the dry season, so we're talking about an uptick in rain, which is something we could actually use because we're running nearly 6 inches behind the average for the year. So we're heading into the dry season with a deficit. So any rain that we get, that's really a bonus. And I don't think it's going to be a washout by any means, but we will see the rain chances going up today into tomorrow. And I think especially as we head towards Sunday, we'll see a better chance of some of the storms around. And this area will slowly drift and meander, and eventually does look like it'll be working its way over the state. But what's going on right now, and what's really going to inhibit this system, is when you look at the winds in the atmosphere. We still have that pretty strong wind shear. You're looking at 20, 30, in some cases maybe even close to 40 knots of wind shear in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Remember, developing system, really any type of tropical system, doesn't want to see that wind shear. It tends to blow the tops off, and that's exactly what you're seeing because of that area low pressure. And then you're seeing all the clouds are really being pushed well on towards the east. So it's going to be really an uphill battle for anything to happen with this. In fact, you watch it on the Fox model, and you're certainly not seeing a whole lot of organization. You're just seeing some of these scattered showers that work their way over us. And really, for the most part, the rain looks fairly limited, especially when you consider some of our afternoon thunderstorms that we get. It is not a lot that it's going to be working its way over us, but as we head towards Sunday, we'll get a few more showers that work their way through, and some of these could be on the heavier side. But those winds are coming out of that easterly direction, and those are going to be up over the next several days. So we're looking at 20 to 25 mile an hour winds as we go through the next few days. So that's what you're really going to notice. It's just a bit on the windy side. So we continue this pattern at least for the next few days. I think by, say, Sunday heading into Monday, the wind will start to settle down. We'll start to dry things back out, but most of that rain is going to tend to fall over on the eastern side of the state. We'll get some of these pockets of potentially some heavier rain, but once you get over onto the western side of the state, quite a bit less rain that we are going to see. Now we look further out into the Atlantic. We're talking about that area that's just worked its way off the coast of Africa. And there you see that wave developing, and we're seeing that slow development, but certainly more and more of the computer models are picking up on this. It does look like it's going to take some time, and this is certainly not an area that we would normally be watching as closely this time of the year, but you have to watch all these different locations, and especially as this works its way further on towards the west, conditions do look like they'll become more and more favorable, that we will just continue to see more development with this. In fact, you look at the winds with this, and this is what we're looking at is the winds through time, and that's where you're seeing that sign. This is the peak wind gust that we start seeing area low pressure forming, and then we start to see some of those stronger winds. Here we have the Lesser Antilles, the Caribbean, and the Western Atlantic over here. And then we look way far out. We're looking at some of these AI models, which I'll tell you, with the last couple of storms, the Google AI model has done a really nice job with these systems, especially with Imelda. And what you're looking at here is just a slow development as we head into about the middle of next week. And then as this works its way into the Western Atlantic, you see this development off the coastline as it is starting to turn more towards the north. So this is really long range, But as we watch this over the next several days, we'll continue to fine tune this forecast, but it does look like we could be looking at yet another developing system that'll be working its way across the Atlantic. Of course, we're going to keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.